What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here with Rob Mazika, breaking down tonight's 11-game NBA slate. It's a good one. I mean, a lot of high totals tonight. That Warriors Nuggets one is just jumping off the charts. Got ourselves a Brooklyn game, which, as you always like to target against Brooklyn, as everyone should. But overall, I mean, it's a lot slate with a lot going on.
Yeah, it's an 11-game slate tonight. It's one of the biggest you'll see all season. Every game's over 200. We have interest in, at least 8 of the 11 games. There's a couple I'm staying away from, like the Clippers Jazz game, and not much interest in the Celtics Mavericks game. But there's a game, like you said, the Warriors game. It's 239 total, and the Warriors have 125 implied points. So that's a high total, man.
Yeah, even with a double-digit spread, I'm not really worried. That's game I'm just going to be building around in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah, especially because it's being played in Denver. I mean, the Warriors, they pretty much blow everyone out, but they could stay close somehow.
Yeah, and Denver still has a 114 team total, so still fine there.
Yeah. So even in a blowout, they're good to target.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, other games I'm looking at, OKC, Washington, 216, I don't mind. Pelicans, Suns, 220, which will be a good one. Hawks and Blazers, I feel like it's going to be kind of sneaky, 216 there at the end of the night.
Yeah, it could make for a nice late night hammer.
Yeah, it really could. I mean, I like a lot of Hawks guys, especially the front court.
Yeah, me too, especially because Portland, they might not even have a center tonight. With that Plumlee-Nurkic trade, so I don't know if Nurkic is going to be active or not. I'm leaning towards he won't be, though.
Yeah, it usually takes a game or two to get them back into a lineup. And even then, I mean, who knows if Nurkic is going to jump in and play 25-plus minutes anyway.
Exactly.
So jumping through point guard, I mean, the only real injury concern here is Emmanuel Mudiay, questionable for tonight's game. I'm going to say more on the doubtful side. I know they're looking to kind of sit him out until the All-Star break. There is some incentive. If he does play, he'll play in the Rising Stars Challenge. So I think even if he's active, I don't see him getting a healthy dose of minutes anyway. So I'm on Nelson pretty much either way.
I'd be on Nelson too. Point guard is a position tonight where it's actually probably better to just pay up. There's not a lot of good values. Jimmy Nelson's going to be a good value, though, because he's probably going to see a good amount of minutes. And it's a matchup against the Warriors. Highest total of the night. I mean, there's not much to argue against with him.
No, there's really not. And the guy that you brought up earlier when we were trying to look for some value, I mean, TJ McConnell, decent spot here. He's a guy who's going to rack up probably a lot of assists as he usually does. I don't mind him at a cheaper price tag.
I don't mind him either. He's going to be facing Kemba. He's been playing really well his last 2 games, over 30 fantasy points both games. Has hit a couple of big shots for Philly this season, a couple of buzzer beaters. He has potential to get a double-double, like a 12-point, 10-assist double-double, but it's better than it'll hit his value.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at that game because, 102 total, pretty much everyone there is under 6K that I'll be looking at. So, I mean, despite being one of the lower totals, there's a lot of points per dollar value basically within the whole Philly team.
Yeah, for both teams, because Okafor is going to be out because I think they're going to trade him. But Embiid's out still. There's literally only, I think, 10 active guys in the roster, but they're only going to play probably 8 of them.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, we'll get to a lot of the power forwards there in a minute, but the mid-range, I mean, you and I like a lot of these guys here. Basically, Drew Holiday, I mean, Steph Curry, I know is a guy that you're looking at a lot tonight. I think Kemba Walker, who's been really quiet of late, I want to be on that big breakout game before everyone else is, and I think he's a guy who might get overlooked tonight.
Yeah, this game's been it's going to be being played at home. We just touched on it, how there's a lot of options in it. Philly is not the best defensive team, and Kemba, he really hasn't played well in those last 6 games. It's a team he could torch. His price is way down because of his recent play. He's a great tournament play tonight.
Yeah, it really is. And a couple guys I'm off of in that range. Goran Dragic, I feel, is a little bit expensive. Jeff Teague, DK price, I'm somewhat intrigued with at 6,900. But I think I'm pretty much off of that game in general.
Same here. Jeff Teague, not much interest against San Antonio. Dragic, he's up to 8K on FanDuel. I mean, it's a good matchup, but that price, it really cuts into his upside. And then another guy who's a little too expensive is Eric Bledsoe on FanDuel. He's in play on DraftKings, but 8,400 on FanDuel is too much for me.
Yeah, a little expensive there. 7,700 on DK is in play. Mid-range guy like Damian Lillard. We're starting to kind of see him pick up a little bit more in terms of scoring and assists of late. Gets Dennis Schroeder, so obviously a plus matchup for Lillard. I don't mind him if you need a little bit of savings from those top-tier guys.
I agree. He's probably that. He's kind of in an island because he's right below Curry, but then just a tad above Holiday. So I think he'll be overlooked tonight, and it's a great spot for him.
Yeah, and I think Westbrook's the obvious pay up option if you're going that route. Not on Isaiah Thomas. I have some interest in John Wall, but I do like Curry just because he's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, Curry's my favorite guy at the top price point tonight. He's 9,400 on FanDuel, but this matchup with Denver and that implied total just really is pushing me towards him.
Yeah, it really is. Moving on to shooting guard, and this one I'm not really looking to pay up here. I like some of these guys. I think McCollum I'm off of. Batum's a little bit expensive for me. I know you're looking at Batum though.
Yeah, I'm looking at Batum. Yeah, it's the same matchup that we just touched on. He's got triple double upside in it. We've seen him have some big games before. He's averaging 15.7 plus rebounds and 6 plus assists, and he's only one of 4 players in the NBA who are doing that. So he's a player who could definitely hit his value.
Yeah, he could. I mean, obviously, a good matchup there against Philly. McCollum, I'm off of. Beal, I'm not really intrigued with. I think Klay Thompson's pretty much the next guy that I'm jumping down to. I like him a lot. Obviously, guards against Denver is pretty much in play any night. And Thompson's a guy who can really run hot.
Even in a blowout, he's going to get his 30 minutes. So he's a guy on the Warriors who you could play regardless of the spread, just because he's going to get over 30 minutes no matter what the score is. He gets his time in the fourth quarter by himself every single game, and in a matchup against Denver, who is one of the worst in the league at defending shooting guards, he could have a big game.
Yeah, he could. And Will Barton's a guy in that same game I'm looking at, just a good correlation piece. Gallinari and Farid are out, so Barton's going to be another guy who picks up 30-plus minutes.
Yeah, Barton's been playing well lately. 6,400 on DraftKings, so his price is up, but he's gonna get if he gets over 30 minutes in this game, he's easily going to smash that value.
Yeah, he is. And Evan Fournier is a guy that you were looking at, and guy who wasn't on my radar tonight, and should be pretty sneaky.
Yeah, I have a ton of interest in Fournier, especially if Aaron Gordon's out. In the few games that Gordon's been out lately, he's averaged like around 30 fantasy points, and in his career against the Heat, his little DVP thing, he's averaged over 34 fantasy points per game against them. So it's a matchup that I like to get up against.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, even though he struggled a little bit on the road, I'm not putting a lot of bank on that one just because I think Orlando's going to keep this one close. And there's another guy that I do have some interest in on that Orlando team as well.
Yeah, I think Orlando keeps it close too. I mean, there's not a lot of pieces in this game, but the ones that you could pick from are pretty good plays.
And out of the other ranges here, I mean, Marcus Smart, I have a little bit of interest in. He's obviously going to have to get some steals to get that upside, which is a concern because Dallas doesn't turn the ball over a lot. But I don't mind a dart throw with him. I think he's moved into more GPP territory for me.
Definitely tournaments only for me. His price is just too high for the amount of production he consistently does. He'll probably get you on the 4 or 5x, but that's not much. You need the steals for him to hit his upside.
Yeah, you really do. And if Cephalosha is out, Tim Hardaway's been performing really well. I mean, averaging 22 points, real points over the last 5 games. A bit scoring dependent, but he's actually shown a little bit of ability to kind of put in a couple extra peripheral stats. And with that Atlanta total, I like that game a lot. He would just be another value piece of it.
Yeah, he's a good play tonight. He's really picked up the slack with Cephalosha out, rebounding a little more, trying to get himself a little more involved in the offense. A guy who I like at the cheaper end is Tony Allen, though. He gets this matchup against the Nets, and like I've been saying lately, he's a guy that I'll target in these up-paced matchups, and especially against the Nets who turn over the ball a ton. He could easily get maybe 3 or 4 steals in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we look at that matchup against against Brooklyn, and they're dead last in turnovers, bottom 5 in rebounding, so it all just kind of sets up well for Allen to just go out and do his thing.
Yeah, if Allen gets you 28, 29 minutes tonight, he should easily hit that 30 fantasy point mark, and that'd be great at his price.
Yeah, and he's been above 25, points on both sites, in each of the last 3 games. So, anyone else a shooting guard?
That's it for me.
Yeah. Small forward, not a loaded position tonight. I like Durant a little bit more on DK because he's 9,900, a little expensive on FanDuel. But for me, I think there's going to just be plenty enough to go around. And if Denver really keeps it close, I think we could see a good ceiling game out of Durant.
Yeah, we could, but I mean, we just really haven't seen one. I mean, the ceiling's been capped really at like 52 fantasy points on FanDuel, and that's not what I want from a 10K guy. I want at least 60.
Yeah, I mean, we look at what he's done. He scored 34 real points against OKC. Didn't get any defensive stats, which is a big bummer. But we know that's a part of his game. It's just got to all come together. So there are cheaper guys, but I still do like him for a safety standpoint.
Yeah, he's definitely a safe play for at least 45 fantasy points. A guy I like in that top range, he's about 2K more expensive on FanDuel, is Gordon Hayward in a matchup against the Clippers. The Clippers, they historically just don't guard wings, and Hayward, he's definitely going to get 40 fantasy points tonight with upside near 50.
And he's shooting way better at home. I mean, 50% at home this season compared to 44% on the road. I mean, he's been a guy who's really impressed me, and I always feel like he's going to be a bit overlooked because everyone just feels like he's way too expensive. But on tonight's slate, I mean, I don't feel like paying up for Kawhi, not on Paul George. So I think out of those range, I mean, Hayward is a safe option.
Yeah, I agree. I'm mainly going to be looking at the value plays in this position, though.
Yeah, we move down the list. I mean, Wilson Chandler's in play, a little expensive, but I don't mind him. Once again, as kind of a correlation. Um, I think he's in play. I'm probably not going to be putting him into my main team. I think he's going to be more just a piece with like a Golden State stack or something.
Same here. It's definitely a good correlation play if that game stays close.
Certainly, and Otto Porter's a guy I'm interested in just in terms of a GPP standpoint. This is a guy who does have some upside, if he can get hot and if he gets the rebounds. But as always, he can drop a dud. So I never Porter in cash.
Yeah, just tournaments only with him.
Anyone else like in that mid range?
I like Harrison Barnes a little bit. The matchup with Boston. I mean, his price is going down. He should get you around 30 fantasy points. He's still very involved in the offense, and it really depends on how much he scores.
Yeah, that's the thing with him, and we've seen his usage cut in a little bit with Dirk back. This guy who's still logging heavy minutes. Outside of that, though, I mean, I have a little interest in Robert Covington, 6,200, playing really well of late. That's pretty much it, though.
Same here. Yeah, Covington, especially with Embiid out, he's typically a guy I plug and play. Just because no one ever uses him, and his usage skyrockets when Embiid and Okafor are off the floor.
Yeah, and I feel like he might be coming in a little bit more expensive just because he's above 6K and has been playing well even with Okafor in over the last few games.
Yeah, he's a great tournament play tonight.
Cheapest I'm going, Andre Roberson, I'm looking at both sites. I mean, averaging over 25 fantasy points on both sides over the last 4 games. And a decent matchup in Washington's middle of the road against small forwards.
Yeah, Roberson's been playing very well lately. He's typically a guy, just down there. He's going to get his 33 minutes in a game, but he just doesn't do much. But the last couple of games, he's actually been performing.
Yeah, he has. And outside of that, I mean, I don't feel like I'm taking a shot on a lot of these guys here. I mean, Michael Beasley's cheap, getting some minutes, but yeah.
I have a couple of guys. I like TJ Warren, a little more expensive. He's in a good spot. He's been playing well. Typically tournament only for me, though, just because he could be inconsistent and his price is getting up there. I like Joe Ingles down way at the bottom, 3,800 on FanDuel. He tends to play very well with Rodney Hood off the floor. And the last 2 games, he's had over 20 fantasy points, and he can definitely do that again in this easy matchup. And then one more guy I like is Michael Kidd-Gilchrist in that same Charlotte-Philly matchup. It's actually a homecoming game with him. He grew up about 20 minutes outside of Philly. So it's definitely a matchup that he could exploit.
And he's nearly averaged a double-double in 2 games against Philly this year.
Yeah, so especially on DraftKings, he's a great value play.
And we get to power forward. I mean, this is a little bit different because Davis and Jokic are both center only on DK. So that takes some plays out, but I think it makes it actually easier for lineup construction tonight.
Yeah, it makes it easier for DraftKings. FanDuel gets a little complicated, though, because at power forward, I either want to pay up for Davis or Jokic, or I want to go the value route with the Philly guys or Kaminsky. But really, I don't have a lot of interest in anyone in between those.
I don't either, and it's pretty straightforward for me there. I mean, it is really those 2 guys, but power forward, DK, it's a little bit different because you can plug in the value and then get those guys at center. So I'm all about that and how I'm going tonight. I mean, I basically limited myself to about 5 or 6 guys. I think Millsap's an interesting pivot. We haven't seen a tremendous ceiling out of him this season, but you do know it's there, especially if you can get those peripheral stats. So I don't mind targeting him tonight.
Yeah, I don't mind him either, especially in a matchup against Portland, who won't have a big man. He's definitely a consistent option for you.
Certainly. And outside of that, I mean, I really don't have a lot of interest in that mid range. I mean, if it was any different slate, I mean, James Johnson, I wouldn't mind. Zach Randolph, I wouldn't mind, but I rather just go with the Philly guys.
Paying up or paying down, or taking one of Davis and one of the Kaminsky or the Philly guys on FanDuel. Personally, I'm just going to take a stand. I'm either going to go both the high price guys or both the cheap guys. That's just the type of player I am. But at the cheap end, we got the three Philly guys. We got Saric, Noel, and Ilya Silva. Saric is probably going to come in the lowest owned, but all of them are in play.
Yeah, I think if I had to rank them, it would be, Noel, Ilyasova, and Saric, if I was going that route.
Yeah, see, mine would actually be Saric, Noel, Ilya Silva.
Just
because, I'm that contrarian tournament player. So Saric, he's kind of my guy tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who, has been playing well over his last stretch of games anyway. So, I mean, he's been coming off the bench and really riding hot.
Yeah, and then we got Frank Kaminsky, just 300 ticks below Saric, who's Corey Zeller is going to be out in this matchup against Philly. This Philly and Charlotte game is actually making for a pretty good game stack with all the players. And
yeah, it really has. And a guy I want to touch on, Kelly Olynyk, just mainly because I don't want people going to chasing points. Played well against Utah. Obviously shot 8 of 11 from the field. Crowder was out, and Crowder does play the forward sometimes, so that did give him a bump in minutes. And because Utah's size is there, he got a little bit of a bump. But outside that, I'm not really going back to the well there.
Yeah, I'm probably not either. He's center only on FanDuel, but like I said before, I just don't have much interest in a lot of guys tonight that are big.
No, me either. In center, I mean, there isn't really a lot of options on FanDuel that I'm impressed with. DK's a little bit different because you do have a lot of guys up there, but there really isn't a ton of value at center, so I think it makes it easy to pay up.
Yes, with all the value at small forward, power forward, I think a lot of people are going to be paying up at point guard and center tonight, and that could be a route that I might be taking too. We'll see.
And if we're looking at FanDuel only, I mean, if I'm paying up, I like Drummond. Steady options has historically killed Milwaukee. They're bad against centers, bad at rebounding. So Drummond's a guy I'll plug and play.
Drummond's he's in a great spot. The Bucks they've allowed an opposing center to grab 20 or more rebounds only twice in the past 2 years, both times to Andre Drummond. So we know this is a matchup he likes.
Yeah, definitely. And outside of that, I mean, Whiteside was a guy that you mentioned. I don't know if you're looking at him.
I'm looking a little bit at him just because Vucevic gives up a lot of big games to opposing centers, and we know the upside is there at Whiteside.
And speaking of Vucevic, I mean, 7,100 on DK is intriguing. I think he's a good GPP play tonight because, one, I don't know how many people are going to be on him with a lot of these guys that are just maybe 1,000 more, and with the value that's opening up, you can go that route. And this is a guy who has historically killed the Heat.
Yeah, and centers against Whiteside is a thing this year. He actually he goes for a block so often that he gives up a lot of points to the opposing centers.
And Vuce is just so versatile in terms of his offensive game. I like him a lot.
I like him too. It's just on FanDuel, we have Dwight Howard only $300 more. And like I mentioned before at Portland, they're not going to have a center. And Dwight Howard, he could get 20 rebounds in this game.
I think the one concern I have with Howard is just the minutes. It's just so volatile. I mean, we see 24, 25, 25, 32, 37. And if Portland does go smaller, I mean, that could take Howard off the floor for a little bit.
It could. The minutes are a concern. Also, the motivation's a concern too. He doesn't really get up for games that he doesn't want to get up for. So, but he's a great tournament play just because of the matchup. If they do keep him on the floor, there's just no one who's with the size to contain him.
Yeah, I'm leaving that tournament only just because we have seen that upside. I mean, basically, we've only seen that upside when he played Houston, though.
That's true. But he's only 6,800, so it's not a bad price on him.
No, it's really not. And as far as cheap guy goes, I mean, Dwayne Dedmon, was in a good spot against the Knicks. Didn't really perform. In another good spot here. I don't mind him as a GPP guy, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, tournament only. He's probably going to carry some heavy ownership. Maybe a little lower than expect because of what happened yesterday against the Knicks, but I think he gets back on track tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. And Greg Monroe's a guy I have interested in terms of GPPs going up against his former team. Saw 26 minutes. I mean, this is a guy when he's on the floor is a good fantasy points per minute, but you can never trust a Jason Kidd rotation. So definitely tournament only.
Yeah, definitely tournament only. Jason Kidd is just a pain in the ass.
I think the only guy that I need mentioning here is, if Tyson Chandler probable for tonight's game. So if there's any setback or anything, Alex Len would obviously become a value.
Yeah, he would just add to the power forward values on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's power forward there, center on DraftKings. So anyone else there at center?
That's it.
Who do you got as far as your non-double digit, salary score as far as hard price guys go?
Curry. No question.
Curry. Oh, flying under the radar for just 600 less. tough. Yeah, I'm going to roll with Drummond. Say Drummond has a big game.
I can see that. Like we said before, he's had over 20 rebounds against them twice. He can do it again.
Yeah, and he's rolling really good of late over his last stretch of games. So that's going to wrap it up. You can head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our cheat sheets, tools, and content.
Yep. Good luck, everyone.